appreciate it. Way too kind, gentlemen. Thank you, Philip.
Excellent. Bye-bye. Right. Well, Kerry Mann is in the house, so we'll go straight to Kerry, shall we? Shall we bring Kerry on?
Go for it.
Hello, Kerry.
Hello, Coach Stephen. How's it going? Hello, Richard.
Hello. Are we doing, man? You okay?
I'm doing wonderful. I guess the question is, how are you guys doing?
I'm going to sit down in a second.
How's it going?
Yeah. It's going well. We're both flagging, actually. Last year, we found it easier, which is strange, really, because you'd think we'd be battle-hardened. Just for people that don't know you, if you could just give us a little introduction so people listening know who you are and what you're about.
Absolutely. So my name is Kerry. I've been carnivore for 475 days now. It's changed my life forever. I'm down over 100 pounds since my heaviest. I lost some of that on keto, but most of it on carnivore, all of it on a proper human diet, overcame depression, anxiety, IBS, snoring, acid reflux, arthritis in my foot, all sorts of issues. Carnivore's really changed my life forever. I've been doing YouTube for a couple of years, so I've been sharing my carnivore story on YouTube, and I think it was about 67 days into my carnivore journey, I decided I wanted to do a documentary on the proper human diet, and I've been working on that ever since. And I guess one other thing real quick is I did a 24-hour live stream myself in September. I give you guys so much credit because I'm not doing another one. I don't know how you're doing. I don't know how you're doing number 2 here. I'm so thankful I did it. It was great, but I feel you guys, especially at this hour, for sure.
Yeah, now, I was under the impression you were coming on with Emily, or is Emily turning up later?
I think so. I popped on a little early, so I think I was supposed to be on around 11 or so, but I heard she was still coming on, so hoping so.
Okay, that's all right. So we haven't got questions at the moment, but obviously you're trying to raise some money for the documentary. So do you want to tell people how they can do that?
Yeah, absolutely. If people are interested in supporting the documentary or potentially participating in it, we've already filmed 26 individuals. We filmed several of the good doctors. I just saw you had Dr. Ovadia on. I'm actually filming him this week. In just a couple of days, we're heading to Illinois to film him. You can visit healinghumanity.movie, and you can register there if you're interested in participating. We filmed quite a few individuals already. We're still looking for some folks that have overcome type 2 diabetes with a proper human diet and women's health fertility issues in particular, but we're kind of looking for anything. We're doing this documentary, and the plan is after the documentary to do a subsequent series. We have too much content to do it credit in just a 90-minute documentary, so we plan on expanding from there. So yeah, it's healinghumanity.movie is the website, and one thing that's kind of cool about it is it's completely crowdfunded. A lot of documentaries you see nowadays, unfortunately, are sponsored by Beyond Meat or some company or corporation, and oftentimes there's a bias because of it. There's no bias in our documentary. We're just trying to share the truth, and the whole idea with our documentary is we're following real individuals. It's all about the individuals. So we're going to talk about the science, and we have all the experts in the documentary, but it's not like a carnivore diet science kind of documentary. It's more about those individual stories and how people overcame different health issues, returning to a proper human diet.
Do you want to fly over to the UK?
Actually,
the story.
I do want to come over to the UK. In fact, one of my good friends, I think he was on here earlier. I caught some of the live stream throughout the day. Lee Copus, Kent Carnivore.
Yep.
I'm really hoping to film his story. His story is just incredible. You guys have probably heard it already, but and I've got a couple other. It seems like there's some amazing contingent of carnivores over in the UK. Quite a few individuals. So we don't have anything scheduled yet, but we're definitely hoping to do that before we finish filming the documentary. Get over there maybe do a big carnivore meetup and then film some of the UK carnivores.
Yeah, well, Richard reversed type 2 diabetes, and his story takes a lot of beating, to be honest, from the guy there that looking at the picture of health. Well, not so much because it's 23 hours in, but you know, you couldn't walk up the stairs and all this sort of stuff. It's a proper story. Shall we let Emily in?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm allowed. Hi, you guys.
Hey there, Emily.
Carrie, how long have you been on?
Just a few minutes.
Okay. Good. Oh, this is
teasing you. It's been an hour. It's been a
Nice.
whole hour.
I know. I was like, dang it, late to everything. I miss all the good stuff.
So, Emily, just for people that don't know you, if you could just give us a little introduction to who you are.
Yes. So I have been carnivore now for it'll be almost 4 years, and I've known Stephen for most of my carnivore journey. I just got to know you my first year on carnivore in 2021. And so you are just such a special, beautiful soul in this carnivore space. And I just love you so much. Just so happy to be here with you. So yeah, my carnivore journey, I started keto. I did a lot of fasting. I lost 150 pounds combining once I went to carnivore and did that with fasting. I learned that fasting could be such a better journey for me. And when I was feasted well, when I kind of went through priming and these sorts of things, that that it supersized my fasting journey. And it was so on keto, I just didn't have food freedom. I was completely addicted to keto treats. My kitchen was like a chemistry with almond flour everywhere and erythritol and coconut oil. And, you know, I was still just so addicted. And so I felt really good on my fast. But when I was not on my fast and I was back into the keto food, I still was losing control and was binging. And so I just wasn't getting that food freedom. And I never felt that I would be able to maintain. And so here I am on my weight loss journey. I'm, you know, reached my goal in 2021 and I'm maintaining, and I'm years down the road, and I have the food freedom, and I know what to do when emotionally things are not doing so well. I hit the ribeye straight up. It's just like back to beef. We're going right back to beef right now. So I've just been at this for quite some time, and I'm really fortunate that I'm able to coach with a ton of people, and we just troubleshoot. And, you know, so I think I've heard a lot of the issues that have been out there. And so that's a little bit about me.
Brilliant. Rich, have you met Kerry? You've met Emily, obviously, last year, but what about Kerry? Have you met him before?
No, I haven't. No. So it's, yeah, first one for me.
Nice to
But
meet you.
yes, you too. And Lee, you know, a mutual friend. We know Lee. Stephen and I do quite regularly the Team Carnivore GB every Tuesday, which Lee has kindly agreed to be a part of. Yeah, what a fantastic story. And a proper true gentleman. I've got all the time in the world for Lee. But yeah, it's how far are we in now, Steve? 3 to go. 21 hours in, are we?
Wow. Yeah,
Yes,
we're 22 hours in. 22.
So, apologies if we're flailing a little bit, but it's
No, you guys are doing great. I remember vividly when I was at 21 hours when we did ours, and Dr. Chafee was on, and he saved us. He really did save us. There was a couple times where it looked like my eyes were starting to fade a little bit in there, and he just took it and ran with it. So
It's your turn now, Carrie. Come on.
I know.
what did I talk about? Lee, you were mentioning Lee Richard. I love that guy. His story is incredible, but the thing that I learned from him is overcoming the depression and anxiety. That's what really resonated with me. All of the other incredible things that he's overcome are, of course, amazing. But filming this documentary, that's one thing that has been in common with everyone. We have a woman that had Parkinson's, someone that's overweight, type 2 diabetes, but almost every one of them also had a mental health issue, depression or anxiety. And it just seems like it's getting worse and worse. And that was my biggest issue before I found carnivore. Just horribly clinically depressed, tried every sort of medication out there. I was on all sorts of SSRIs and antidepressants. Nothing worked until I found keto, and then I found a little bit of relief, but never really did it for me until I went full carnivore. And that's really my passion and the reason I want to do this documentary. There's so many hopeless people in the world right now. that should at least have this as a tool. Not saying they have to do this, not saying the standard of care isn't acceptable for them, but just having it as a tool. I never even knew it was an option until I stumbled upon it. So,
yeah,
Yeah, we've got a question actually from Neville, which is G'day, Kerry. Did you have your gallbladder removed and you have a few problems with fatty meat? How do you manage that?
yes, I don't know what's left in my digestive system, stomach area. I don't have a gallbladder. My appendix burst. I had multiple kidney stones. But to answer the question, I haven't had any problems going carnivore and eating lots of really good fatty meat. I did keto on and off, so maybe I sort of took baby steps into it. But I've been fortunate to talk to so many carnivores filming the documentary and doing my YouTube videos, and many of them, including my wife, who she recently surpassed 100 days on carnivore. She doesn't have her gallbladder either, and she's doing just fine. I know some people supplement with bile salts. I know SBG, Bella, has had some good advice in the past about having melted butter, for example. That can cause more issues, potentially, if you don't have a gallbladder as well. So having cold butter instead, or cold fat instead of rendered fat, that can maybe help in those cases. But I've been doing just fine, and I eat really, really fatty meat, and a lot of it, and hasn't bothered my gallbladder. Haven't had to do the bile salts or anything like that.
Carrie, are you a butter? Do you like eat it straight off of take snacks out of it?
I do. I do. Yeah, my wife's doing it now too. So,
Richard, your story. I think you should just tell Kerry and Emily your story, a little potted history, because we're streaming to Kerry's channel as well, and I think they'd be really interested because yours is quite sort of extreme from one end to the other.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. In my mid to late 20s, I was type 2 diabetic, suffered with chronic fatigue, depression, anxiety, arthritic pains, daily debilitating migraines that would make me blind, for which I was on 3 different medications for. I suffered with skin conditions like spots and boils all over my body. But in my mid to late 20s, I could barely walk up the stairs without stopping or being severely out of breath. And I was led to believe that this was just a fact of life and that I was getting older, despite only being in my mid-20s. An incredibly long story short, but I used to suffer with severe anxiety and depression also. My life was spent living in boxes. I would only leave my house, to jump into my metal box, and I would drive my metal box to another big box, my place of work, and then I would reside in a small box inside this bigger box, and then I would perform this in reverse at the end of the day. And my life was quite literally spent living in boxes. I never felt worthy of the company of others. I certainly wouldn't be on a podcast with you guys or alive. But I made one change, and I'll come back and explain what the change was. But I've made a career out of breaking boxes. So my life was spent living in boxes, and now I break boxes for a living. But I went on to begin to compete as an amateur in men's physique bodybuilding. Now, this is someone who suffers with severe anxiety and depression, wouldn't leave my house. The thought of competing in an organization in which you are on stage in nothing but your pants, essentially, is something that I genuinely wouldn't have done for all of the money in the world. But after making these changes and changing my life, I lost 107 pounds, reversed my diabetes. I was migraine-free, depression-free, anxiety-free, at least as much as you can be. I think some of these things are maybe on a spectrum, and you still get, the odd little bit that creeps in now and again. But it was enough for me to want to spread the word. I felt that I'd found a secret, and I wanted to tell the world about my secret. And part of this involved me maybe coming out of my comfort zone, breaking these boxes, if you like, and going on stage and showing people that I could achieve things that quite literally went against the grain. We're told that you need carbohydrate to be fit and healthy. We're told that you can't build muscle and things without carbohydrate. Now, I lost 107 pounds. I was small. I was incredibly lean, but I was small. I began training, and I noticed that I was gaining muscle at a rate of knots. And I'd always done some form of training. But now I was devoid of all the anti-nutrients, the lectins and the phytic acids, and now my body was being able to heal, repair, and build. So I decided to compete in order to promote this new lifestyle, my secret that I wanted to tell the world about. So I decided to compete. My whole family told me not to compete because they knew how severely this anxiety and depression was. And their fear was that I wouldn't step foot on stage. And I almost didn't. The rest of the lineup walked out. I was at the last of the pack, and I stopped just at the curtain's edge, and I refused to go on. And I could hear a friend of mine calling my name from the stage. So I took that deep breath. I walked out, and I physically forgot how to walk. My legs were shaking so much. I had to really concentrate on putting one foot in front of the other. But I'm so glad I did, because I came second in that competition. It was a local amateur competition. There was just your average gym goer. But that then started a journey. I wanted to compete again. I went back the following year as an amateur, and again the year after that. The third year, I was awarded pro status. I became a professional. 2 years after that, I won the British Championship, and 2 years after that, which was 2 weeks before this was taken, I won the European Championship as a professional. So I went from being unable to walk up the stairs in my mid to late 20s to becoming number one in Europe as a professional athlete. I've retired from that now. I've come away. I say retired as if I'm old. I'm only 40. I don't think I look 40, mind, but no comment on that. I came away from that in order to pursue running and cycling. I've worked with a couple of athletes who are competitive Ironman athletes. One of my guys just won the European Championship in Ironman 2 weeks ago. So he's number one in Ironman in Europe. An ex-vegan, by the way, who was up until then ranked 48 in the UK. He came to see me, and I'm going off on a tangent now, but he's a doctor.
You're going off on a tangent. We haven't got them all night.
Carnival based. Like, he won this European Championship anyway. But it's but yeah, I mean, that's my journey in a nutshell. And that's what I do, is running and cycling now, hence the reason I'm half the size. But that's a little bit of my journey to date anyway.
That's incredible.
It's amazing.
The anxiety, Richard, I can feel you on that one. I had the worst anxiety most of my adult life. And all of that worry, I always think about that now. All of that worry was always for nothing. I used to have phone calls with people, and I would have the same phone call every week for years. It was the same customer, and every single time, like a week before, I would be losing sleep over it and dreading it and finding excuses like, if I just pull my car and crash it into a tree lightly, I can get out of going to work and doing this meeting. Just this horrible anxiety. When you think about anxiety like that, humans were never meant to have that. Like, if you're getting chased by a lion or a bear, okay, but to have a phone call or just these everyday events. And I see it so much, especially with these. I've got triplets plus one here at home, and my girls are about to turn 17. The triplets are, and they're doing carnivore with me now, which is amazing. But them and their peers, anxiety, mental health issues amongst younger generations it's just rampant. It's grim out there. So this has been the only thing that's really helped. I was on all sorts of medication for it. But Richard, how's your anxiety now?
I'm speaking with you guys. It's considerably better. Look, I'd be lying if I said that it was non-existent. Again, coming back to what I said earlier, I think it is a spectrum, but it makes perfect sense in regards to diet causing these issues. And it seems too simple, but when we look at the catecholamines and the catecholaminergic neurotransmitter synthesis, how we create neurotransmitters, it involves 3 amino acids, tryptophan, tyrosine, and phenylalanine, and cofactors, zinc, iron, magnesium, B6, B12, so on and so forth. But these cofactors can be blocked by as much as 100% when we consume things like lectins and phytic acids. And when we block those cofactors, our neurotransmitters are not created the way that they should be. And this, I think, is a massive contributing factor. I know being ketogenic and carnivore, further helps this in regards to the production of ketone bodies, beta-hydroxybutyrate. But I think that the biggest lever is removing those toxic compounds from, specific plants, if not all of them, that will block those cofactors. And I think for me, same as you, I saw a big improvement when I was ketogenic, but the transition to carnivore was where I saw the biggest difference. And I believe I attribute that to removing, those plant toxins, those phytoalexins.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I've got a couple of questions that people have posted. Can we do that? Sorry to do the housekeeping, but people have kindly logged in. And by the way, I'm 60, so just one sec. I'm the oldest one here. So
You have to get that in.
Happy late birthday,
Right.
Stephen. I forgot to tell you. You forgot to tell me.
So Sandra's saying, shame that the mental health study that Dr. Palmer was conducting got shut down. Kerry, could you please give us an update?
Yeah, well, I heard Dr. Barry post about this on his community tab, and I did the same thing, and I shouted it out on mine as well, and I signed the petition that's going around. So I'm not sure what the status is now. That was a couple days ago, but I'd encourage everyone that's interested in that to go sign that petition and get the word out and share more about it.
Yeah, for people that don't know, it's been shut down, and it was a study in schizophrenia, and it was doing well. The ketogenic diet, it was going against the narrative, basically. Right, okay, let's have a look. Let's get one for Emily. I saw one for Emily, actually. Right, here we go. How about this? And anyone else? So Diane's asking, I have been on carnivore for 2 weeks, and I've been eating ribeye, burgers, eggs, butter, bacon. I have been having problems going to the bathroom. Oh, Emily, I don't always think of you when it's bathroom problems. But anyway, it's a poop question. I'm sorry. Any suggestions?
I think that was your specialty, Stephen, from what I remember. Yeah, I mean, I think that people are not used to that. You might not go very often. Sometimes as much as little as once a week. And I got to go on Reverse in Costa Rica, and one of our guests was a farmer, and this was his first time on carnivore. And so this was probably about day 3 or day 4, and something I just kind of brought up about how, a lot of times you're not going to go to the bathroom on carnivore. And he just stopped and looked at me, and he stared. He said, "How do you know what's happening with me?" And I said, "Okay." I said, "This is normal." And so I explained, as I learned from Coach Stephen years ago, is that these nutrients are absorbed further up in, and they don't make it. And so we're absorbing things in the small intestine. They're so bioavailable, and so you just don't have a lot of waste. And he just thought about that, and he was so invigorated. And he came back the next day, and he said, I just thought about how much money this is going to save me in my farming. So he was thrilled that he's going to be out on the tractor and not having to be spending so much time in the other place.
Yes, that's good. There's an ironic question that possibly we'll all answer because it does ask. Any of you drink coffee? So Emily's putting her hand up for those. What's really funny is 2 weeks ago you would have had 3 hands up.
Oh, hey.
And 4, you would have had another one.
Yeah. But ironically,
you have recently kicked it.
Yeah, and this, by all accounts, full disclosure, is not coffee. If you can see in there, that is some electrolytes. So,
I was going to say it's red. You drinking pomegranate juice?
No, it's astaxanthin. It's astaxanthin, the world's most powerful antioxidant. It's a product that I manufacture. So they are keto carnivore electrolytes, but it's the astaxanthin. Astaxanthin is the compound that gives salmon its distinctive color, and that's its natural color. That's how it looks. It's absolutely disgusting, but it unless you go for the flavored version. So we do offer flavored versions for people who are less strict than ourselves, but that's the unflavored version. But that is the natural color, believe it or not. Yeah.
But let's answer that coffee question, because as I was saying, if you'd have asked that a month ago, then both Richard and I would have put our hand up along with Emily. When we get to Kerry, why he didn't at all. But anyway, for me, I've been playing soccer. I went back to soccer after 15 years of not playing it. And then about a month ago, decided to have a bit of coaching because I'm a consumer as well as a coach. I believe in coaching. So I did a couple of days coaching. My knees are really hurting. And I thought my football boots have got smaller. This is terrible. I'm in absolute agony. And I just put it down to the extra training. And then for some unknown reason, I don't know, listening to some influencer online, there's a correlation between coffee and
soreness.
sore knees. Yeah. So I took the coffee out, and lo and behold, instead of it being my age and up in my activity, it was the coffee. So my boots now were fitting okay, and my knees were not hurting. I could walk down the stairs without going ooh, 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 like that. But being a proper scientist, I reintroduced it, and it was Swiss water decaf, by the way. It wasn't the caffeine. I reintroduced it after the pains had gone, and the pains came straight back. Bang, bang, bang. So I'm going to really suffer tomorrow, because to get me through the 24 live stream, I broke my duck, and I've had a couple of decaf coffees because I'm a real person. I was being transparent about it. I didn't want to sneak it on, but I really needed it after about 6 hours. So coffee's out for me. Decaf. So it's not the caffeine. It was the coffee, the acrylamides. But Richard has the same sort of story, Rich.
Yeah, and I've always used coffee as a crutch. I think. I mean, I've always argued for its plus points. I think it's a known fat mobilizer. It's a known ergogenic aid. It blocks the adenosine receptor, so it doesn't give you energy, but it blocks your body's ability to tell you that you're tired, which, as a tool, is incredibly handy, especially on occasions like this. But I went from drinking 1 cup to 2, and I got to the point where I was consuming 4 to 5 cups per day, but each cup contained 2 double shots, so the equivalent of 20 cups per day. But unlike the likes of Anthony Chaffee, I had never suffered with any downstream deleterious effects. It never had a negative effect that I could tell on my life until recently. I began to get severe pains down both fronts and backs of my legs. My nerves were twitching constantly. It affected my gait. I couldn't walk properly. I couldn't lift my left leg. I was tripping over steps. I started to lose grip in my right hand. All of these symptoms pointed to motor neurons disease. So that was obviously incredibly scary. Mycotoxins also cause the same condition. So it could be one or the other. But acrylamide is a known contributor to things like motor neurons disease. So after being addicted to coffee for all of my adult life, this was my drink of choice when I came away from drinking energy drinks, for which I used to drink about 15 a day. And I just dropped it at a flick of my fingers because it was causing detrimental issues. Within 2 weeks, in fact, 2 days after I quit coffee, I ran a half marathon. I'm fairly new to running. I only started running in 23. I was on for a 1 hour 22 half marathon, but my legs packed in because of this effect of the acrylamide, and I came in a 1 hour 26. So I was a little bit disappointed, but still not too shabby considering I'm fairly new to running. But a further 2 weeks, all of these things went away, and I am still yet to drink coffee, and I haven't given in today either. So still no coffee for me. But yeah, potent acrylamide. It's a potent toxin. I think, well underestimated. And it isn't just coffee. It's acrylamide is created during the roasting process, but many other compounds contain acrylamide, when we burn meats and things, for example. But I think in California in 2018, was it it had a Prop 65 label slapped upon it because it was deemed to be extremely hazardous. And I think it was categorized as a known carcinogen. So, these are things that, we deem to be healthy. And it's not to say that there isn't a place for it. Until 4 weeks ago, there's me saying to everyone, don't drink coffee. Until 4 weeks ago, I would have argued the opposite because I was so addicted to it. But I think it's a tool if you use it correctly. And the thing with acrylamide is it's accumulative. So if you are only consuming 1 or 2 cups a day, then it's quite likely that your body can detox and deal with that load. But the equivalent of 20 cups was clearly too much for my body.
Yeah, I
Now,
never. Oh, sorry.
sorry, Kerry. You go on, Kerry.
I was gonna say I was never a coffee drinker, so didn't have any. I was addicted to diet soda forever. There is something very liberating though about going on carnivore and like having no more addictions whatsoever. So I always encourage people, if you need the coffee, baby steps to get going on carnivore, but maybe try to get rid of it afterwards if you can, because it is really nice not having any addictions whatsoever.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I was just going to show a question actually, because this has already come up 3 times from different people. Is Kerry's theatre popcorn free from seed oils?
It is, yeah. So for those that don't know, my wife and I own our small town movie theater. And one thing I get a lot of flack for is at the small town movie theater, we still do have popcorn and soda and candy. We also do have a bunch of carnivore snacks. I don't snack on carnivore, so it's tricky, but we've got grass-fed beef sticks. We've got pork rinds. We got cheese. Sometimes we had hard-boiled eggs in there for a while. We actually had a lot of people taking us up on those, but we do have popcorn. It is seed oil free, but I don't partake. I don't eat any of it. But I get this question a lot, and it is something that weighs on me. Like, how do you talk about carnivore and you advocate for carnivore, and then you're selling this stuff? Where I've come down on it is I offer the other options. I'm putting my example out there, but I've realized I don't blame the grocery stores for selling cereal and sugar. I don't blame the cereal manufacturers, because I could do that for the rest of my life and it's never going to change anything. I believe it's the individual that has to decide what they're going to eat or what they're not going to eat. But it still definitely weighs on my heart for sure, especially when we have kids coming in and they're eating that junk that I would not advocate for eating. But yeah.
Cool. Okay. Interesting. Craig is saying, I suffer from ADHD, autism, and oh wow, 22 hours later I can't speak, and anxiety. Would going carnivore help? And if so, should I go cold turkey or should I ease into carnivore?
I could take a stab at that one first. I would say, if it were me, absolutely, it'd be the first thing I would do. I've interviewed several individuals on my channel, many with anxiety, and actually one individual with autism that had really good success going carnivore. In terms of if you should go cold turkey or ease into it, in terms of any medication you're on, I would definitely ease into that and talk to your doctor before you stop taking any medications. I would advocate for easing into carnivore too. It seems like everyone advocates for that. Like for me, I used to tell people I would do keto, maybe 20 carbs or less, and then move into carnivore. But I didn't really do that. And a lot of people I talk to, they just kind of jump right in and go full carnivore. So I guess it depends on you. But if I were making a recommendation, I would say ease into it, take some baby steps, so you don't set yourself up for failure. But that would be my advice. Yeah,
I think that there's so much hope that my life has changed amazingly. So with the anxiety and depression, I've just, it's a night and day, and it was a light switch for me. And it's interesting to think about, where is this person right now? Because I was very meat based. And so I didn't do that. I didn't know I was headed to carnivore. I was doing keto gains or something, and I had to track a certain amount of protein, and it was all supposed to be animal protein. And so my journey was crowding out. But then when I was ready on January 2nd, 2021, I was ready. So I think that crowding out with a meat-based approach is great, and just to not limit yourself when you are having these mental health issues, when you want to step into the carnivore journey, definitely, you can eat as much as your body's calling for, and don't put any limits on that, because if you're under eating, you're not going to get the full benefits from carnivore, and that anxiety, I think, will take longer for that to resolve.
Yeah, I'll jump in there really briefly as well. Yes, I think is the short answer in regards to kind of help. A state of insulin resistance will interfere with the absorption of those amino acids that we just mentioned in regards to neurotransmitter production, phenylalanine and tyrosine, which create dopamine and norepinephrine, And norepinephrine and dopamine are the neurotransmitters that block irrelevant information from the brain. So a massive contributing factor to someone who would be a sufferer of ADHD. For me, in regards to how I've come into this, and this has been a reoccurring topic throughout I was going to say the evening, then it's been nearly 24 hours. But for me, I made incremental changes. Although I'm what I'd class as like a step change person, for me, things need to be black or white. But because carnivore seems to cover so many different arms to health and well-being, we've got, suddenly you're consuming saturated fats. What about your cholesterol? You're eating red meat. What about cancer? You're taking in lots of salt. Well, that raises blood pressure. There's so many different things. Grains are bad for you. And the changes that I made, which I didn't cover earlier, the first step that I made to my journey was removing bread. So I was step change in regards to that. I'm not eating any bread. It wasn't a case of I'm only eating a little bit of bread. But in order for me to make all of those changes, I think would have been too much. So I gravitated in slowly. I took one thing out at a time, not knowing. I didn't even know carnivore existed at that point. I just knew that bread bloated me, and that's the reason that I took it out. And then through trial and error, you learn new things and you realize that the seed oils are detrimental. So you remove these and then you just go deeper down the rabbit hole. So I gravitated from low carb into dirty keto, then a standard keto, then clean keto, and then more animal based, and then carnivore. And now, I class myself as a fairly strict carnivore. I do eat cheese now and again. And up until recently, I used to drink coffee. But other than that, all I eat now is grass-fed beef and lamb. I do indulge in pork and chicken now and again. But I class myself as being fairly strict. But for me, it's taken me nearly a decade to get to that point. So for me, the best approach was these incremental changes, even though I'd regard myself as being a step change person, if that makes any sense. But it just seems the step is so big. Once you tell someone that vegetables are not good for you, and the best source of your nutrients is animal proteins. I think most people, when you say that to most people, they look at you as if you've got two heads. So I think it's, it almost involves a case of these incremental changes in order to prove that this is the way forward,
Yeah, that's brilliant. Quick question here. I'll cover this one if you don't mind, because it's a quick one. Is it true that any bubbles like carbonated water can reduce the pH of your stomach and stop the proper digestion of food? Yes and no. Yes, it can change the acidity of your stomach very slightly. The CO2 becomes carbonic acid in the stomach, but it's what's called a transient change. The stomach acid is hugely acidic. But if you were very unhealthy and you drank a lot of bubbly water, you might have a slight problem. But for most of the time, I mean, I actually drink carbonated water, so I'm not anti it. But I wouldn't have it with a meal, even more than Emily. So yes, it's true, but it's not a big problem unless you have problems with your stomach acid and you're drinking way too much. So if you gulped all that down, the whole glass, and you had low stomach acid, you might have a slight problem. So yeah, don't drink it if you've got a slight stomach problem. Next question, unless anyone else wants to jump in. No?
All good.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm still interested in your movie theater. What's it playing at the moment? What's running?
We're playing Despicable Me 4, the Minions movie.
Yeah.
Our movie theater is kind of cool. It's a single screen theater, and it's been there since 1859, before Lincoln was president. It used to be an opera house. It was here before electricity, before airplanes, before all the world wars. So it's a lot of history. Every sort of version of film we've had there, from silent movies to when the Titanic sunk, they had early picture shows in 1912 at the theater. So lots of history. It's pretty cool too. We have lots of people that have been going there their whole lives. We have this one woman that's 87. She's been coming here since she was a kid. She has this little special seat off to the side. We roll out the red carpet for her when she comes in, kind of thing. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of think it's quite romantic that you're doing that, and I think it's good. If it's a little small town cinema, I don't know. I think it sounds like a nice way to earn a living, actually.
Yeah.
Right.
We're bringing it into the future too. We did a big carnivore keto meetup, and Dr. Hampton, we were able to project him on the screen so he could see the audience and the audience could see him. It was kind of cool. So we did this sort of hybrid live stream where people could ask Dr. Hampton questions and talk about carnivore and keto, have a big meetup at the theater. So we're hoping to do some more of those. It was pretty fun.
Yeah. This isn't so much as a question, it's more of a comment, but I think it's something that's really common when people start. So Kay, yay, so glad you're all doing this and I'm catching it live. Thank you. That's great. Thank you for being here. My husband and I, which is what our queen used to say, my husband and I are doing this woe. He's doing great, but I'm struggling. I'll do great for a few days, then cheat. Which is unusual. If you've got somebody, by your side that's doing it and doing well, it's unusual for someone to go off and, and cheat on this. I would say that is quite common when people first start, though, if they're on their own. So what's your take, everybody, on why that's happening?
I think that toggle back and forth, it's an extreme change. And, there's so much changes in your mind that has to happen before it really sinks through and becomes your go-to. I like in the beginning, lots of variety and cooking ahead and like making bacon first thing in the morning, just making some automatic choices. Like I get up, I cook a steak, boom. There's no option there. I think eating first can be really good, food first approach, because it gets you through those trigger times, those times that are going to be, your high temptation times, to kind of train yourself to eat ahead of those times. And then that will help you for sure stay steady during that, and just involving more support and keeping your environment very clean, getting all your environment completely cleaned up of anything that's going to cause you to stumble.
Yeah, I love that. I think being really prepared is great advice, and planning is good advice. Like when I decided to do carnivore, I'm like, I'm going to do this for 30 days. And I'm like, this is going to be expensive, until I realized I was eating way less than the standard American diet with the 3 meals and all the snacks. It's actually way less expensive. But in my mind, I said for 30 days, I kind of have this budget for food. And for the first week or two, I'm like, I'm going to really treat myself. I'm going to have the good ribeyes. There's be more patties later on, but the first week is going to be really hard. So that helped me get through the first week. The other thing too is make sure you're eating enough and getting enough fat. Oftentimes you'll get cravings if you're not getting enough fat. And I guess the last thing I'd say too is make sure, if you're going to do carnivore, like do carnivore. I get a lot of people that say they'll still have cravings, or they'll cheat, or they'll fall off. And oftentimes when I investigate more, they're still keeping things in, like diet soda with artificial sweeteners in it, or things like that. I know for myself, if I was still drinking diet soda, it would stir up cravings and it would make me want to cheat, and it would be a lot harder. So for me, it's easier just to be all in 100% carnivore. And a lot of people just don't know that because they've done so many diets. I'll have people too where they're approaching this sort of like Weight Watchers. I did really good all week, so now I can kind of have a cheat day on Saturday. And it doesn't really work that way with the ketogenic diet. You can knock yourself out of ketosis. It might take a couple days. You might have to suffer through that keto flu again. So it's best to just kind of be all in or nothing.
Yeah, some amazing
Richard?
advice there. Yeah, and one thing that I think I could bring to that possibly is I think men work very differently, I think, in regards to this way of living compared to women. If you're living together, men can go prolonged periods of time on extended fasting and maybe only eating 1 meal a day. I find that women need to eat more than once a day, generally 2 to 3. So if you are trying to match your husband step for step, that may not be the best approach. And as the guys have already said, make sure you're getting plenty of fats, eat when you're hungry. If you're not hungry, don't eat. And commit to it, as you say. These little treats can severely pull you off track. But that seems to be the biggest thing for me, I think, is only eating 1 meal a day definitely works better for men. And it seems to be a big stumbling block for most of the women that I've worked with in the past, is that they need more than 1 meal a day. And it generally resonates between 2 to 3. I don't know if you guys can add any weight to that, but it seems to be the general trend from the last 20 odd hours, also with the guests that we've had on.
Yeah, and I'll add a different perspective. So you've got different things to pick from. It could be the way you're talking to yourself. If you're saying, right, today I'm not going to eat ice cream. Today I'm not going to have chocolate or whatever. If you think about your subconscious mind, it doesn't work in negative. So if you say, don't think about pink elephants, you've got to think about pink elephants. So to wake up and think, yeah, today is going to be fully carnivore. I'm going to eat lots of proteins. I'm going to eat lots of fats, and I'm going to enjoy it. So don't do the, I'm not having this. I'm not having that. Try and remove the temptation as well, and make sure you eat enough, and pick food that you like. You haven't got to have liver if you don't like it. Just pick animal products that you actually enjoy eating, and go for that sort of way of doing it, I think. Right. Oh, sorry, Emily. I thought you were going to add a little bit more there.
Oh no, I'm just saying thumbs up, and Carrie nailed it. The diet soda was still in there. The kids are eating pizza. Yeah. So husband's doing great. And, and so I get that with the kids, and we, the recipes, it's a great time to dig in and do a pizza crust out of, chicken breast and eggs and pork rinds. And so you can get into doing carnivore versions of just about anything that's out there. Just don't restrict yourself. Enjoy it. Make it. I love, like, you're just lavishing yourself, getting your very favorite foods, especially starting out.
Yeah, and I think the way you speak to yourself is really important. Like the word cheat, I don't like, because in sport, if you cheat, you get somewhere better than everyone else, but actually you're sabotaging yourself. So even change it to I'm having my sabotage meal today. I'm going to ruin myself day. These little changes can make a difference. Right. Okay. Next question. I have anxiety and agoraphobia disorder, mitochondrial disease, post-exertion malaise, fibromyalgia, memory issue, chronic fatigue, coordination issue, and D2. Do you suggest carnivore or lion?
I mean, either is going to be such on a good road, when I think about people that do really, really well on Lion, a lot of this stuff is on there, the fibromyalgia, a lot of times joint issues, chronic intestinal issues. So I do have some clients that need to go all that way, and they do a high fat approach with the Lion, maybe add butter or tallow. But you have to find something that's going to be realistic. And I don't want you to take all the joy out of your life when you're starting. And so that's the side that says, hey, let's include some variety, because we want this to be a lifelong approach. And for this to be lifelong, you need to enjoy what you're eating.
Yeah, I'd just add too, I'm mostly carnivore for 475 days, but I did I think a 60-day stretch of strict Lion diet. And then I did it again for another 50 days. And I just felt so much better doing Lion, but it depends on where you're coming from as well. But if I would kind of ease into it, start with carnivore and try not to make it like I have to do either this or this for the rest of my life. Try carnivore and then maybe experiment with Lion diet for a while and see how you're feeling. I have a feeling you will feel better on Lion diet, because that seems to be the experience for a lot of people. But like Emily said, I guess the question is if that's something you can manage long term.
Yeah, you can toggle back and forth when you don't have to be doing Lion forever. And I a lot of people in our community will do it for a week, and to kind of test that out. So I think that having a frequency where you come in and out of a Lion approach or a freer, more variety approach can work.
Yeah, spot on. I've got nothing to add to that. I think you guys have covered it.
Yeah. Oh, you're making my job very difficult here, because I was expecting a longer answer. So someone's asked me a particular question. I'm not really that great with all the meals, but what do you think of baking a carnivore-friendly, meat lovers, crustless, sauceless pizza using just cheese and meat in a square baking dish at 400 degrees for 20 minutes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oddly
Sounds pretty nice. Yeah, I do offer meal plans actually, and one of the things that I'm quite proud of is a carnivore lasagna, which is just basically ground beef and bacon and cheese. So yeah, I like
Our
stuff like
lasagna
that.
is very similar to that. And for the kiddos, we will put some tomato sauce because they can handle that. But it has like the cream cheese and different kinds of cheeses getting in there. If you can tolerate cheese, I mean, that's just delicious.
I thought it was an interesting question earlier. I don't know, about 18 hours ago, where someone said, "Do you think that for people with cravings, these sort of alternatives like the carnivore pizza, carnivore lasagna, and all that, is actually a good thing? Can it trigger cravings because you've got a similar thing to what you had?" So, what do you reckon? Do you think for some people it could be bad to have a carnivore pizza?
I think that's possible. So, dairy is something that we play with. Like some people can handle it really well, and some people it just does kind of get an unending and turns into its own thing. You have to have the meat with it. I think if you're having meat and dairy together, then it kind of justifies it. But if you get on this path where all you want is cream cheese or all you want is melted cheese, then I just don't think you're going to get the benefits.
Okay. Sorry, Kerry. Go.
That's a great question. I don't know if I have a good answer for that, but for me personally, when we get into some of these more elaborate meals and kind of recreating old foods that I eat, it bothers me a little. It worries me a little bit, but that just might be me. I think part of it came from too when I did keto, and then all of these stupid, in my opinion, keto products started coming out that would mimic things that we used to eat: keto snacks and keto candy bars and keto ice cream and tortillas and keto bread. I always had problems with those. So when I see some of these carnivore meals that are kind of similar or sort of elaborate, recreating pizza, just for me personally, it kind of triggers something, right? I try to avoid those things. Um, but yeah, I don't have a good answer there because maybe it would help some people if they really miss those foods. It's probably more just a little block in my own personality here.
Right, here's one for you, Rich, but we could all answer. Is lamb okay?
We love lamb.
We do.
I believe lamb to be, and as Jay already knows, Jay's an avid follower of ours. I believe lamb to be more preferential than beef. Even we're all told grass-fed beef. Again, I believe this comes from the States in particular, where, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but lamb isn't as readily available as beef would be. But when you look at the profile of lamb, it's at least equal to, if not better than beef. Lamb is always grass-fed. It has a better vitamin B ratio and much higher in omega-3s, around 10 times higher omega-3s. And that's not to say that grass-fed beef is bad, because it isn't. It's one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. But we love lamb. At least I do, anyway.
Carrie, did you get those lamb pops? They did a fundraising dinner in Texas, and they had the lamb pops that came around. We're just like, hang on to the thing, and
I didn't get any of those. I would have loved to though, but I didn't try any of those. No. And yeah, lamb is something I want to eat more of. It is meat's just easier to get around here, or I should say beef is easier to get around here. I gotta just expand my horizons. I get into a rhythm and I just keep doing the same things. But I've been at the butcher shop and I see lamb and I'm like, well, I've never really cooked it. Am I gonna mess it up? I'll just go back and get the beef kind of thing. But I've heard from many. I was very fortunate actually. Earlier in the week, I was interviewed by Tammy Peterson, and I'm pretty sure her and most of her family, I think, strictly just eat lamb on the lion diet. So, yeah, it's something I want to explore more myself for sure. I love the taste of it. I just got to figure out how to cook it, make sure I'm doing it correctly.
nice.
Yeah, I'm going to break this little thing up with a small joke. So, how do you know when someone is a vegan? They tell you, right? So, with that in mind, this question is setting up the question really. How do I get my pescatarian wife into meat and fat, gang? I feel it would heal her in so many ways, but I don't want to make her feel pressured. I'm 2 months locked in and I can't believe the results. And that's one of the big problems, is you want to tell everybody about how great this is and you want everyone else to do it. And if you've got somebody that you love in your life and you think they're going to get less sick, they're going to get healthy, it's really difficult to do what you're doing and not pressure. But my advice would be to play the long game, because your results will speak for themselves and she will come to you. Seriously, she will come to you and ask about what she can do, or just have another meat day rather than a fish day or whatever. But just slowly, just let that happen. But it is, I think, just, you know, I want to hear from you guys, obviously, but just for me, it's one of those things I have to tell a lot of people when I'm coaching. Yes, this is really great. Don't bore people with it all the time, because you do want to, and they're like, yeah, but it's so good. I feel so, yeah. But don't be a
Don't
vegan.
be that guy.
Yeah, don't be that guy. Right. Any other views?
2
Yeah.
months is just a very short amount of time. Yeah, we just got to give. I love what you said about long game, Stephen. I think about 6 months, a year. You know, I mean, people really can see that down the road. Just be the example.
I totally agree. And from personal experience, I have this belief that you can't change anyone. They have to be inspired to want to change themselves. My wife, I mentioned earlier, it took 375 days of me doing carnivore before she's got on it, and she's been on it for 100 days now and stuck to it. But I did make the mistake of, come on, like, let's go already. I feel so good. I know this is going to help you, but ultimately, just setting that example, and I think inspiring someone is going to be much more effective. You're probably going to just push them away if you get too pushy with it. Yeah, and 2 months is pretty early on yet. Keep in mind too, like for other family members, I always like to think of this: you're planting a seed. They realize they have this as an option or a possible tool they might not have had otherwise, that maybe they'll come back to, either if they're inspired or desperate and have to do something. They'll at least know about it from your example.
Agreed. Yeah. Lindy and I started a ladies, it's on Facebook. It's called Meat Sisters. And so you just, if people get to that point where, you know, the husband, the wife, I don't know if there's a men's thing or not. I have no idea, but that's kind of a nice tool as well, is to, you know, at some point, if she becomes curious, maybe she'll want to talk to ladies about it and get their perspective on it. Cause the male and female journeys are so different.
I gotta second that one quick too, because I think you know this, Emily, but my wife loves Meat Sisters, and it really helped her out, having, instead of just talking to me about it, which she's sick of hearing from me already, but talking to some other peers, people that are in her situation, was really helpful. That the community is huge for that. And one other thing I'd mention real quick too is, if your wife is suffering from certain health issue or ailment or something like that, there's probably most certainly someone else out there on YouTube that has that same health issue, and that might inspire her more, is showing her a specific example like that she can relate to.
I love that.
Yeah, that's great. Great points. Rich?
Yeah, I think you guys have nailed it. I mean, as far as a physical approach, I think eggs are generally one of the easiest sells on another sort of animal product to introduce. So see if you can maybe just get her to gravitate into consuming eggs now and again. Eggs are highly nutrient dense. And I think once you've cracked, pardon the pun, that then it'll open the floodgates. But it is very much, I am that guy that nobody that preaches to everyone and nobody wants to talk to.
Me too.
But, yeah, I think it's safe to say we all are. But it's and I mentioned this earlier. I was going to say a couple of hours ago. Probably yes, it was yesterday. Yesterday morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
My mother suffers with lots of health issues, and it's taken me the better part of a decade to get her to even consider gravitating down this. And she said to me 2 days ago that she's going to give it a go. So it's taken me that long. And it seems to be sometimes that the people that we are the closest to are the ones that, as you rightly say, Kerry, don't want to listen to us. You know, in some cases, showing them someone else on YouTube, you know, that they don't know may confer more benefit than you trying to preach. But yeah, I think just play the long game, as Stephen says.
Cool. Are you giving yourself a hug there, Kerry?
Yeah.
A little bit of self-love. Right. Now, this is, well, I'll hear your views first. This might be the first time I've disagreed with Chafee on anything. Right. Dr. Chafee believes older animals are more nutrient dense. Do any of you have any experience eating them?
Yeah, I agree.
They are more.
I'm sorry.
Go on.
I was just going to say, I don't know whether that's true or not, but I did eat an older animal we filmed rancher Maggie, who's a good friend of Dr. Chafee. Dr. Chafee introduced us to her. Maggie is 83 years old. She's been on carnivore for 65 years. She's a beef rancher in Canada. She's absolutely incredible. But one of the days we were eating some beef, and it was from a particularly older animal, and whether or not it was more nutrient dense or not, I can't say for sure, but my body seemed to be screaming like, I really like whatever it is you're eating right now. Continue eating more of this. It tasted very, very good. Seems like our bodies are more in tune on carnivore, and they kind of know what they want, but not very scientific on that one. But
what cut did you eat, Carrie? What was the cut?
I think it was beef ribs.
Okay. And how was the flavor different?
I don't know. It just tasted better. Both Adam and I were eating. We're both like, this is incredible. This is like our best meal of the week was that particular meal.
Wow.
Yeah, I think there's a tipping point because, all animals have the same sort of trajectory, which is they lose muscle, they gain more fat, and they have more connective tissue, which is tougher. Yeah. So all of those things would equal not such a nice meal, but I've not eaten something old, and I might have Kerry's experience. Think, well, I don't know what it is, but this is great. So I think the experience might be better, but actually, like vitamin E, for instance, is definitely a nutrient that depletes with age. That's definitely the case. So I don't know. I'd love to speak to Anthony about that particular thing because I'd be interested in the science in that because it seems counterintuitive to me because all animals age in a similar way. Right. We've got 5 minutes left. So I can't quickly find a question. Did you want a little free for all? Do you just want to chat for the last 5 minutes?
Sure.
So Kerry, you're the main man. Sorry, Emily, but we're talking about the documentary. How are we going to get people to fund you quicker so you can get more done?
Well, if you can't donate to the documentary, just sharing it and getting the word out will help. Again, the website is healinghumanity.movie. We're working on a prototype, which is like a 9-minute version of the movie that we're going to be releasing in the coming weeks. That's going to be very exciting. I think people are going to be really get fired up about it from there going forward. But yeah, it's there's just some incredible stories. When we were out in Austin, we filmed 14 more individuals. One of those incredible individuals is on the call right now too. We filmed Emily for the documentary, which is really exciting, as well as several doctors. So yeah, I'm pumped for the documentary. I got to review all of the footage and see everything, and it's not me patting myself on the back. It's these individual stories that are so important. That's really what we're trying to do with it, is just inspire people. I interviewed Dr. Kiltz way back early on in my carnivore journey, and he pointed at the camera. He said, it's the documented stories that matter, and that's what we're going after here, is just sharing people's stories and trying to inspire people, specifically people with the mental health issues, depression, and anxiety.
Yeah, and I think transformations and surprising stories. I mean, your Bill Knott story, the Alaskan guy, it's incredible. It's just unbelievable, and it's also just going against the propaganda as well, because it's just food. It's not drugs. It's not Weight Watchers. It's not insane amounts of cardio. It's just changing the way you eat to sort of the species appropriate way, and it's so simple. And I think that's what drives people nuts about it. It is really simple. It is really simple, and it works.
Well, I love how you said that, because initially when we were doing this documentary, it was going to be all about carnivore diet, and what I've realized doing this more and more is it's just returning to what is natural for humans. I feel like we've escaped so far from what's natural for humans, mainly through the foods we're eating, but we're sitting under fluorescent lights all day for 24 hours. we're not getting outside, getting fresh air. We're not exercising. And if you look at those things, is we're getting further and further away from what's natural. We're getting sicker and sicker. And that's really the big message with the documentary. Fix your metabolic health, return to what's natural for humans. And it's amazing. It is literally unbelievable for some of these people we filmed. I really wouldn't believe it if we didn't have their medical records to look at some of the things they're overcoming by just getting out of the way and letting their body do what it was intended to do. It's amazing what heals.
It's incredible that we all get to be a part of this space and be around where miracles almost get boring. It's never boring, but when somebody, you know, when they say, I healed this, I healed this, I healed this, and it's just like, and that's the 10th time we've heard that, or the 20th time we've heard that, or the 50th time we've heard that. And it's just, it's just amazing to be in the middle of, you know, everything turning around for folks. So it's so much enthusiasm and so much just authentic excitement about what's happening.
Yeah. We get numb to it. Like you mentioned, Bill, he's down almost 250 pounds. He's hitting 1 year next month. We're flying out to film him at his 1 year mark. And he's had a little bit of a stall, which we've told him this is normal. This is just going to happen. But he's almost a little upset with himself. And I'm like, Bill, take a step back. 250 pounds. That's insane. That's an insane amount of weight in less than 1 year. And there's other stories like that too. Like Intentional Carnivore Sean lost 243 in 1 year. And there's lots of stories like that. We almost become numb to them after a while, but they really are incredible.
Yeah, Limitless Lindsay is down 500 or 500 now.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's and the thing is, it is amazing. When I was a high carb believer and I was a personal trainer, I used to celebrate somebody losing like 7 pounds, and that's like what somebody can lose in a week on this way of eating. It's just it is incredible. Anyway, Rich, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I've just posted that link to the website, and I can see that a couple of other people have popped links into, I think it might be your Instagram page or your YouTube channel. So that's in the chat. So that will be there. Hopefully that'll gain some traction for you. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed chatting. I think you guys have pulled me through probably one of the hardest hours, and we've got 2 to go.
And
so
you're coffee free still.
coffee-free.
Good job.
No, 2 more hours. You can do it.
2
You
more
got
hours.
it.
2 more. So thank you. It's been incredibly incredible. I've thoroughly enjoyed speaking with you both. Be fantastic to get you both on my podcast at some point. I'm guessing you've been on Stephen's. But yeah, it'll stay in touch and we'll get something booked in.
Absolutely. Likewise, it's been a pleasure talking to both of you. I appreciate it. You guys are amazing doing this for 24 hours twice in a row. And yeah, Coach Stephen, you're coming on my channel. I'd love to have you too, Richard. And just one last thing real quick. We're doing a type 2 diabetes live stream with Dr. Barry, Dr. Hampton, and some of a bunch of people that have overcome type 2 diabetes. Would love to invite you to that one as well if you're interested. I'll shoot you guys an email afterwards with the details.
Appreciate that. Fantastic. Thank you.
Great stuff. Yeah. Lovely.
Take
Thanks
care.
for coming on.
You guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Awesome. Cheers, guys.
Adios. And now we have the wonderful Jesselyn.
Hi.
Hi there.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Just for people that don't know you, if you could give us a little introduction to who you are and who's your friend.
My name is Jesselyn Randall, and I am a carnivore content creator, I guess you could say. And so I just make a bunch of silly videos about how I eat lots of meat and animal products, and I'm currently pregnant too. And this is my little puppy, Rambo.
Oh, look at that. Oh, but anyway, I'm so pleased that you came back. Do you remember Jesselyn from last year, Richard?
Yeah, I do, yeah. That 12 months has come and gone incredibly quickly, and here we are again, fighting for survival, but 2 hours to go. So the finishing line is in sight, thankfully.
Yeah. I think once Jesselyn's gone, we'll pretend we did the last hour and just shut down. But you look very glowing, don't you? Why are you glowing so much, do you think?
Well, I guess maybe because I'm pregnant and I'm currently outside, and I live in Okinawa, and it's summertime here in Okinawa, so it is super hot, and so I'm getting a lot of sun too, so that's helping. So a mixture of diet and sunshine and pregnancy.
Well, I'm just so pleased you're here because you said you might not be able to make it because you didn't know when you were due, I think, when we first booked it. Anyway, you're here.
Yeah,
so that's
August
good.
next month. I have 1 month left. Yeah, 1 month left.
Yeah.
I think.
Excellent.
I'm not,
Right.
I don't keep track. I'm really bad at keeping track of how far along I am. When I go to the doctor's office, they always ask me how far along I am, and I'm like, don't you guys know? Like, aren't you guys keeping track?
So I'm going to ask you sort of like quite a contentious issue, because your Instagram is full of people who think you're doing a terrible thing, eating carnivore when you're pregnant. So how are you coping with the comments?
I'm fine with those comments because it's like they're not true, so they don't bug you. So yeah, it doesn't make sense because what do you want me to eat? Like, you want me to eat plants, and you like, what's the alternative to eating meat? Eating a ton of plants, mostly plant-based diet, which processed plant-based diets is mostly what people eat in standard American diets, and look how healthy they are. And we know that meat is more bioavailable, more nutrient dense, and we evolved eating meat. So why would I want to eat more food that is less nutrient dense, less bioavailable? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. So
Yeah, it
meat
doesn't
makes
make
sense.
sense to me.
Yeah.
Because we had Dr. Sabrina Salt on earlier on, obviously, and she gave birth at home. So are you going to follow that trend?
No, because I'm in Okinawa, so I don't really feel comfortable doing that here.
Yeah.
And I'm just military. I'm here with my husband is military, so that's why we're here. And I'm just gonna go to a military hospital that's on base, so I don't have to deal with like whatever comes with giving birth not on U.S. territory. I don't know if they'd probably just say it's still like U.S. territory if I gave birth here. But I'm just gonna go to the military hospital and do it there. I'm not super. I totally would if I could, or if I was in the United States, I'd do like a home birth, or like, oh, excuse you, or go to like one of those cool centers where that makes it feel like home. But I'm not gonna stress too much about it. Like, the baby's gonna come out when he wants to come out, so I'm not stressed too much about where it happens.
So how has your palate changed? I mean, how much more are you eating, and are you eating different things now? Are you getting those cravings for different stuff?
No weird cravings. You know how pregnant women always have super weird cravings, and it's usually for like junk food. Nothing like that. My cravings have been normal, like how I craved things before I got pregnant. Like, I would just say, oh, chicken wings sound good tonight, or burgers sound good tonight, steak sounds good tonight. That's basically the extent of my cravings. Different things sound good on different nights. But my appetite has definitely changed throughout my pregnancy. My first trimester, I was ravenously hungry. Sorry if you hear the helicopter that's above me. We're by the Air Force base. But I was ravenous, and I could not get enough food, and I was eating tons of eggs and dairy and red meat and things like that. And my tummy was smaller, so I could eat a lot of food. And then my second trimester, it was like I was not hungry at all, and my appetite like went way down. So I went back to eating like 2 meals a day, like just making sure it was enough, but back to 2 meals a day. And then now in my third trimester, I'm like getting ravenously hungry again, which I think is interesting because women usually say they eat less in their third trimester because their tummy gets so big. But my tummy is getting bigger, so I eat a lot of like really small meals. But like, I'll eat a small meal, and then an hour later I'm like ravenously hungry again, and I'll eat again. So it's gone like up and down, and I just have been going with the flow with it.
Fabulous. And you're hydrating, obviously. Is that with electrolytes?
Yeah, I have electrolytes in here. The just Redmond Relight electrolytes, the lemon lime flavor.
All right. Richard, come on. You've been very quiet. Do you have any questions?
I was just curious, Justin, how you gravitated into the lifestyle. Was there any trigger in particular that that pulled you into this way of living, or was it just by chance? What was the catalyst for you?
Well, I think by chance, because it was chance that I happened to come across it. I wasn't looking for it. My husband actually found carnivore through the Joe Rogan Sean Baker podcast because he likes Joe Rogan, and he listened to that episode, and it sounded like a lot of things that I was dealing with and I could relate to. And he said, hey, just listen to this. If you want to do it, I'll do it with you, and we'll see what happens. So that's kind of how I started. But the health issues that I had that he thought would help, this diet would help a lot with, was chronic constipation. I was constipated for like 20 years of my life, going to the bathroom once every couple of weeks. So it was like weeks in between. It was awful. And then because of that, I was always constantly bloated. I struggled with my weight. I was always like really overweight as a kid. And I had really bad acne, really bad immune system. I was sick all the time. My gut was just horrible. And mental health issues. I don't want to say mental health issues. That makes it seem really, because I was never diagnosed with anything, but I struggled with my mental health. Let's say it that way. And Sean Baker touched on a lot of those things when he was talking to Joe, and it sounded like it could help me. So I tried it, World Carnivore Month, January 2020, and my husband tried it with me, and I lost 20 pounds. My skin started to clear up. It was like the first time that I could, since I could remember, that I was having normal bowel movements, and my mental health started to improve. So I just stuck with it, became I was on board after that first month, and things just kept getting better and better, and now I'm pregnant.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, incredible journey. Steve, are you okay to hold the fort while I visit the little boys' room very quickly?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, there we are. I think we're in the final 2
Been a
hours.
long day.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold it for another 2 hours. So apologies, I will be back in 2 seconds. But I'm
That's
sure
all right.
Steve,
You don't need to rush.
I will be as quick as I can.
Yeah, it's been quite a different. Last year, Jessalyn, we found it relatively easy to do this 24-hour thing, and both of us this year have really struggled. Actually, we've had moments. I struggled at the 6th hour. I just suddenly thought, because I was going to fast, you know how you're
Yeah.
sort of kind of all blasé about food now, not obviously when you're pregnant, you're probably hungry, but you can take or leave food. It's not the be all and end all. So I was thinking, oh, I'll just fast, be a piece of cake, easy. And I got to the 6th hour, and we had a guest come on, and I was like, wow, I am so hungry. And I'd given up coffee as well about 2-3 weeks ago, and that I collapsed. But I was honest on air. I said, I've given up coffee. I'm going to have a couple to get me through this 24-hour thing. So, but I think people have forgiven me.
Yeah, I was going to
but-
ask you if you had people come bring you food or how that works.
Well, last year a few people didn't get that we were actually going to do 24 hours. I remember Lily Kane just thought, it was going to be 24 hours, but Rich was going to do 12 hours. I was going to do 12. So, we're both at home, and my wife just made me some sort of like little bits and bobs, like a little bit of chicken and a little bit of ham, some cheese. Rambo is lovely. My dog wants, it's funny what you sort of forget about in your house, what you take for granted, because my dog's not seen me for 24 hours, and he's like, well, I want to see you. And it's just, it's so sweet. So sweet.
I couldn't go 24 hours without seeing him. Well, obviously I could, but I wouldn't want to. It would break his little heart. He's so has like separation anxiety, which is probably my fault because I've been too close to him for too long. But yeah, it breaks my heart every time I have to leave the house and leave him, and he just cries.
Yeah. Is he a raw carnivore dog?
No, we get these little dried jerky things that are it's like 93% meat and then 7% plant, whatever dog plants they can eat. So he's not 100% carnivore. We sometimes we'll just feed him ground beef, and then he'll kind of get tired of it, and then we'll do the jerkies, and then when he gets kind of like over that, we'll go back to ground beef. So we just kind of rotate through stuff. But yeah, right now he's on the jerkies. They have beef and some type of fish and chicken.
Wait, very sweet. How long have you had him?
He is 6 months old now, so about a little almost 6 months, because we got him when he was really young.
It's lovely that he keeps jumping into shot.
Yeah.
The audio podcast, people just think I'm a mad person because I just keep laughing, but he is very, very funny and very sweet. So,
yeah, he likes attention like all puppies do.
yeah, well, yeah, but look at him. He's lovely. So just going back to what you're eating at the moment then. So you didn't have any sort of major changes when you went pregnant. You didn't suddenly hate beef and love lamb or anything like that.
No, I don't think I've actually had any lamb since being pregnant, which is interesting. I wonder how I would like it, because I really liked it before, but it's one of those things where you have to, it's an acquired taste, I feel like, especially for Americans who don't eat a lot of lamb. But the biggest difference that I made when I found out that I was pregnant is I kind of took the pressure off myself to be super, super strict, because I just wanted to enjoy just being pregnant and not have to worry about adhering to these like super strict dietary guidelines of carnivore. So I started using like hot sauce and salsa and condiments like mustard and like putting pickles in my food. And what else? Like the electrolytes, the flavored electrolytes, or the flavored carnivore bar, flavored protein powder. So I've added that stuff in when I just need a little bit something different. But other than that, nothing really drastic. It's still mostly meat and animal products, but with more seasonings and more flavor. So that's the biggest difference that I made, is I just kind of took that stress off myself of like staying super strict and being super strict carnivore.
Well, you've never really been one to go by rules anyway, have you? Just you seem
Yeah.
quite a free spirit. But
Yeah, I definitely don't like the dogma. And if I can be a little bit of a rebel, I will.
yeah. So so when the baby's born, I mean, you'll just breastfeed, you'll keep away from formula and all that. Just do it as natural as possible.
Yeah, that's my goal, is to just breastfeed. And just breastfeed as long as possible. I've seen different videos like I forgot her name. But she talks about how babies shouldn't be eating food until they're like a year old, like whole food until they're a year old. But I don't know how long I'll be able to breastfeed, because isn't it different? I haven't researched this a lot. Maybe I should. But isn't it different for different women of how long they can breastfeed? Like sometimes it just like stops. I don't know exactly how that works. But yeah, I'm gonna try to breastfeed as long as possible and just kind of go with the flow like I usually do and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then first food's gonna be like animal-based foods. Nothing store-bought or anything like that. Because have you seen that thing where it says that it's now illegal in the US to sell baby formula that doesn't have like seed oils and stuff in it?
Yes. I thought that might be a parody at first, but yes, that's
it. Like it's illegal to not have. That's insane. I didn't fact check that, but I saw it on someone who I trust, a content creator that I trust. So I'm assuming they are correct, but that's insane to me.
Yeah, I don't think Richard heard that, because if he had, he would have been quite surprised that baby formula in America, they're making it illegal to not have seed oils in.
Scary.
Yeah, that's the reaction I was expecting. Yeah.
Incredibly scary.
Yeah, you must have poison in it. And do you know what? When you talk about baby formula, and I've coached people that the wife's pregnant or whatever, and then the worst situation I had was their baby wasn't exhibiting everything that they wanted, and I said, look, just take him off the formula. And you'll be fine. And I'm like, oh, my mum's saying that. I'm like, well, listen to your mum. Really listen to your mum. And then we got the formula out. And he said, it can't be that bad, can it? And that, I just went through the ingredients, and he looked at me and he said, "We're feeding that to our baby." I said, "You should have done that without me telling you. You should have looked at it." But yeah, let's get rid
Which
of the formula.
I think is interesting. My very first appointment, after I found out that I was pregnant, they sent me home with a paper. The doctor or the OB or whoever it was, she verbally told me like foods to avoid, and then they gave me a paper, and it was like certain things were highlighted, and it was just like redundant. Like she kept saying it, and it was like red meat, eggs, deli meat, sushi, things like that. And not once did she say anything about limiting or avoiding ultra processed junk. And it's just so backwards because those I like things I didn't avoid during my pregnancy, like egg yolks, medium rare steaks, things like that, but definitely ultra processed junk. And then after the appointment, she said, "Are you guys gonna go and celebrate with some ice cream?" So it was not only did I not get verbally spoken to or a paper with any sort of ultra processed food on it, but then I was encouraged afterward to go and celebrate with ultra processed food. And then you wonder why women have all these like weird cravings and like pregnancy face and stuff. I don't know if you've seen that. I don't know if that's a new phenomenon or what, but apparently a lot of women now when they get pregnant have like pregnancy nose and pregnancy face, and their face just turns completely different. And it's scary. So, like some of the differences are really drastic and really intense. And then like the bloating and the swelling and stuff. I don't have any like ankle swelling, or all my jewelry still fits. My face isn't really any different. I've gained weight obviously, but that's about it. So it's so interesting how
It is,
backwards
yes.
everything is.
Yeah, and a couple of things you said there, I could talk about that, but then we'll get taken off YouTube. So, but it's very backward, and it's really frustrating because it's just basic common sense, isn't it? When you pull back and say what you just said, they're telling me not to eat eggs, but knock yourself out with ice cream. That's fine. It is so obviously backward, but people are just accepting because they've got the white coats, the stethoscopes, or whatever they've got, and so many people just don't question and don't look at it like that.
And they say
it's really
they talk.
funny.
Yeah, they talk with so much confidence too. Like when I was at one of my appointments, they had the anesthesiologist come in and talk to me and basically do the whole rundown of what would happen if I got an epidural or needed a C-section. And I had to sign a paper saying that he spoke with me and explained everything. But I don't want I want to do a natural birth. So I was listening to him, but not really listening to him because I wasn't really interested in what he was telling me. But they speak with so much confidence, and they speak so fast, and they're just it makes sense how women can feel pressured to do certain things or feel like it's a really good idea because they're kind of like salesmen, and you feel like talked into, oh yeah, this sounds like a good idea the way you're saying it. That's an important reason why I guess it's important for us to like share these things and help educate people so you can go in feeling confident about your decisions. Because if you run into a doctor that's really confident and a good salesman, you'll start second guessing what you think
Yeah, and I was so glad that you have made it because the question comes up at least once a week within coaching or our live question and answers. Oh, my baby or my 3-year-old, is carnivore going to be okay? Is keto going to be okay? And you want to say, just send me a list of the things you're currently feeding your child, and tell me which one of those is actually better than an egg. Just tell me that, and there won't be anything, because they're just feeding cereals and packaged processed stuff and ready meals, and it's very disheartening that
Yeah.
I'm not getting more of those questions, because then more people are questioning, and if what you feed your children is just so important. It's just it forms that human for the rest of their life. I always am very conscious about my teeth, because my mother and father really didn't do the red meat, didn't do fat, did skim milk and all that sort of stuff. Well, my teeth are terrible, absolutely atrocious, because I didn't have any protein when I was growing up. I didn't, tiny, I've got a tiny jaw. All the things that people like Dr. Kevin Stock talk about, crowded teeth, and it's all down to that formative years. I'm only 5'10", I'm not 6'2" or whatever. So I think it's so much more important than it's made out. The nutrition of children is just going the complete wrong way with the formula, and everything's just in a box. It's highly colored, it's highly processed, loads of sugar, and there's no real food. I just think it's disheartening, actually, to be quite honest. So you're just a breath of fresh air, what you're going to do. And I just keep telling everybody, and hopefully there'll be a sea change, and women will be more confident to listen to their body and make sense of what they're feeding their kids, and it won't be processed, and they'll put a bit of effort in. So that's my rant over. Sorry about that.
Yeah. And it's, people always I think a lot of times people complain nowadays about, well, it's too expensive to eat this way. But I'm seeing a lot more content of people buying real whole food and making these like healthy meals, and then comparing it to prices of ultra processed food. And it's really kind of comparable, and sometimes less expensive to just eat real whole foods. And then what you're getting versus what you're getting if you save like $1 or whatever the difference is just, it's so much more nutritious and such a better option. So I'm really excited and happy to see content creators putting that type of effort in, of even like I'm seeing it with like non-carnivore people too, of just showing people eating it at home and making a meal at home versus eating out, and stuff like that, and just the importance of eating good food and that it's not expensive, because I feel like that's such a cop out of like, well, eating this way is too expensive. When you actually look at it and actually break it down, it's not. So I hope that gets debunked too, or we stop talking about that eventually.
So Richard's got a story about when he went to his daughter's school and did a speech, which is quite. You tried to make a difference there, didn't you?
This was a talk that I gave. It wasn't to my daughter's school; it was to a different school. But yeah, I didn't use any. So basically, I was approached by a friend of mine who works for a local council or something, and they put me in contact with a school not far away. And I put a little presentation together in regards to healthy living, because the types of foods that they were feeding the children were chicken nuggets, with everything was breaded. It was bread with everything. There was no protein source that wasn't coated in bread or covered in some sort of sauce. So I put a little presentation together. No mention of carnivore, no mention of keto. It was to do with the damaging effects of wheat germ agglutinin from breads and grains, how detrimental certain phytic acids are in regards to absorption and their ability to block the absorption of other nutrients, and highlighting how important animal proteins were, and comparing the vitamin and mineral profile from plants to animal proteins. So no mention of keto, no mention of low carb, no mention of carb in general, no mention of carnivore. It was all to do with healthy living, but nothing changed. They weren't interested. I don't know why. I don't know if it was to do with cost, whether it just goes against the narrative, but I was incredibly careful not to use any of the keywords that would allow them to pull the plug, which shocked me, because if we can't make a change at that age, what can we do? And the difficult thing for me is knowing my little girl goes to school eating, the rubbish that they are putting out there. It's incredibly disheartening. I was also asked I say recently, this is going back last year, to do a talk in the NHS, to give a talk to the doctors and nurses within a local hospital. This whole event, this whole day was built around me going down and giving a presentation to the doctors. So they built all of these activities around it with people going in with massage, Reiki healing, and all of these other things. And 2 days before the event, the guy that booked it for me, a friend of mine, phoned me and said that, look, I don't know how to say this, but you can't come. And I was like, what do you mean? They won't let you speak. And I was like, well, what are you talking about? And he said, because of who you are and what you do, they won't allow you to speak. And I said, but why? And it's because, I'm keto carnivore. But I said, well, this is not what I teach. I teach healthy living. I teach real food. I don't even mention the words keto or carnivore, even low carb. I'm always careful, especially when I'm around the medical community. But I was ostracized out of the day that was built for me. My friend of mine, he told me at a later date that basically, his boss had said that if I wanted to pay enough money, I could go in and say whatever I wanted to. But they pulled the plug on me speaking because I pushed the ketogenic and carnivore-based lifestyle. Everything is back to front. It's a massive uphill struggle. And I'll give you another story recently that I've mentioned within the last 24 hours. I was at my local butcher's, and there were a few customers who came in and ordered lamb and asked for the fat to be cut off the lamb. So I asked if I could have the fat. I'm standing at the counter, and this lady who was considerably bigger than myself, and without being offensive, maybe 3 of me, and she asked me why I wanted the fat. So I explained about the benefits of fat, and how it's essential for health and well-being, the production of cholesterol and the production of hormones, and how every cell in the body is made of fat, and the brain, and so on and so forth. And one of the parts that I mentioned was that how it helps with the production of hormones. She gave me a look that would kill, and stormed off in a temper. I think some people are so blinded by the narrative that they're not willing to open their eyes and see what's right in front of them. I was standing there with a friend of mine, both of us incredibly lean. Everyone else on the counter was at least twice my size. Yet, we are the weird ones who eat unhealthy when we are surrounded by people who are sick. And it's just disheartening when not only will they not listen, but they can't see quite literally what's right in front of them.
Yeah. I have a kind of similar with your daughter. My mom's mom, my grandma, she is in a senior living facility, memory care facility, because she has Alzheimer's and vascular dementia. And the stuff they feed them is insane. It's like straight sugar and sweets and breads, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. And the facility itself is a good place, the way they treat them, because it's really hard to get good senior care. I don't know if it is where you guys are, but in America, like if you just go with standard senior care, they mistreat seniors a lot, and it's just really gross how they treat seniors when it's provided by the state versus like private. And so the place itself treats her really well, but just their food is so bad, and like you can't do anything about it. Like you can't change it. It's just one of those things that you have to like accept and hope that one day, if we spread the information enough, it starts to organically grow and change the narrative in the mainstream, if that's even possible. But yeah, it's so crazy that from like the youngest people in our society to the oldest people in our society is just being so mistreated.
Yeah.
It is. It's awful. Sorry, I thought you were going to follow it up, Rich.
Sorry, yeah, you were in a daze that I think that the final hour and a half is.
Yeah,
taking
I've
its toll.
gone, literally gone. My brain stopped working, I think.
I'm sorry, I'm not more interesting. I'm not keeping you guys awake.
Not at
You are
all.
very interesting. It's nothing to do with you. It's just I think we were all questioned out, and it's been amazing. But
Yeah.
like I say, we both struggled earlier on than we did last year. And I mean, I didn't sit down until hour 22 last year, and I was gone by 6 hour 6. So I don't know what it is, why it was more stressy. But so, what's your long-term plan then? Is it to settle where you are, or come live back in America? What are you going to do?
Well, since my husband's military, we'll be leaving soon. Generally, if you're sent to Okinawa, you only stay for a few years and then you go on to the next place. So we will be leaving maybe like November, hopefully. So soon after I give birth, so we'll be flying back to the States with a tiny little baby. That'll be really interesting, and we're first-time parents, so fingers crossed that all works out. And we have a little puppy, so that'll probably be a little bit of a stressful day. And then we'll be going back to Washington, or we'll be going to Washington. We've never been there before. Washington State, on the West
Mhm.
Coast, and we'll be there for a few years. And then, depending on what trajectory my husband's career takes, we could go to a few different possible places from there. But our next stop is Washington. I'm super, super excited about that because Okinawa is cool, but I do not want to live here any longer. We've been here almost 3 years now, and I am good to go back to the United States. I miss the United States so much.
What do you miss about it then?
The culture is just different. I am very much love my country. I mean, we talked about how I'm like rebellious earlier, but I'm very much have American rebellion in my blood. And the culture here is just, they're very nice. They're very respectful. It's very safe, which is nice. Like, we leave our front door unlocked when we leave the house. You can leave your stuff in public and no one takes it. But just, it's very like compliant and just kind of like go with the flow and just go to work, go home. And nothing too exciting. And I feel like in America, it's like more exciting and people are following their dreams and things are like, you're getting crushed, but then other people are making it. And it's just like this roller coaster of emotions and so much to do. Like, there's not a lot to do here. We're on a very tiny island. It rains like every single day here almost. So if it's raining, there's not much to do. So we're excited to go back and have like places to go hiking, and we can drive to different states and see different things. Yeah, so it's just bigger, and we like the bigger, more exciting, like the dangerous freedom type of thing instead of like safe. What do you call it? Dangerous freedom versus like safe. Whatever, I forget the saying.
Yeah, yes, sedate. Yeah,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
laid back. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've been to Japan, but not to an island. I went to Tokyo, but even there was very sedate, very calm and respectful. I mean, I liked it, but maybe I couldn't like it after like 2 weeks. Maybe I would have got bored with it, but I quite liked all the little sort of nodding
Yeah.
and but everyone follows every single rule. One of the things that made me
Rules.
laugh. Yeah, they
Yeah, the
do follow
rules
every
are
rule.
the rules. Yes. It
Yeah.
is crazy. Yeah, that is one thing. Me and my husband say that to each other all the time because we're like, the rules are the rules. You can't break the rules. And
Yeah.
that's the mindset here of just like, even if you go to a restaurant and you can't order like these are stupid like first world problem things, but like things we're used to as Americans. But you can't just go to a restaurant here and customize an order. Like say like I want the number 2, but I want it without this and with this and with this. They'll look at you like you're crazy. It's like what's on the menu is what you get. You do not get to customize anything. So we have to the restaurants that we go to. We have to be very careful with what we pick so I can eat because my husband doesn't have like food allergies and stuff like that like I do. I was gluten-free for 10 years before I went carnivore, and I will not ever eat gluten again. But yeah, the restaurants here, you can't like customize anything. Just the process of the way things happen here, it's just the rules are the rules. There's no bending the rules. There's no like speaking with your manager to get like, and then you get things. Like in the US, you could like say like, let me talk to your manager, and the manager will like comp your food or something if something goes wrong. Like that doesn't happen here. So it's a bunch of first world stupid complainy things, but
Yes.
I prefer American culture versus versus Japanese culture.
Yeah. And you're in a blue zone. I mean, you can't get any meat in a blue zone because it's vegetarian, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely not. No, no meat here. They hate meat here. Just joking.
There is a question in the chat also, Jesslyn, if you don't mind me asking. The question is, how long were you on a carnivore, I guess, the carnivore diet before you fell pregnant? Did you have any metabolic issues or fertility issues prior to being carnivore?
Yeah, so I think I did. I didn't have any diagnosed issues, but I was carnivore for 4 years before I got pregnant, and me and my husband had been married for 4 years prior to that, so about 8 years total. And throughout our marriage, I was never on birth control. So, which is, it just seems like I should have gotten pregnant at some point after 8 years of being married with no birth control. So I think I did have fertility issues, and carnivore helped that. And then I was carnivore, like I said, for 4 years, and then I got pregnant, and it's been so smooth, so like no issues, no morning sickness, no weird cravings, none of the common awful pregnancy symptoms or anything like that. So I think that carnivore really did help a lot. And growing up, the reason I think I had fertility issues too is because I was put on birth control for my acne. And we know that birth control can really mess you up. When I talked about earlier how I had a really bad immune system growing up, I was sick all of the time. And my doctor would just constantly put me on a Z-Pack. We had this weird relationship, I remember, with my childhood doctor, because I would constantly get like sore throats that would turn into a more serious issue. And I would just go into his office, and he would see who it was, and he would just write me a Z-Pack. And then I would walk out the door with my mom. And that was basically happened so many times in my childhood where I didn't even have to tell him anything. He just would like kind of see me and be like, oh, you're sick again? Okay, here's a Z-Pack. And so I was constantly on antibiotics. They put me on birth control, put me on Accutane for my acne too, which is not great. And I did it for the longest amount of time that you can do Accutane. So I'm sure that I had some really screwed up hormones and fertility issues. And I really do think that this way of eating helped heal all of that. And I think that my easy pregnancy so far has been a testament to how much my body has healed, because women's bodies don't, and this is my first pregnancy too. And your bodies don't, or your body, oh my God, words, your body doesn't usually carry that pregnancy or continue to carry that pregnancy if it thinks you're unhealthy. And a lot of women suffer from miscarriages and stuff. And that was something I was really nervous about, and I waited a really long time to tell people that I was pregnant because I really thought I would have a miscarriage because of like my health issues and stuff in the past. But thankfully, no, it's been like so great. Like the worst thing that's happened to me is I feel really fat, and and I don't like it. But if that's the worst thing I have to deal with, I'll deal with it.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I think you look absolutely glowing. I genuinely think that. I think you look really healthy and yeah, just glowing, which is a corny thing to say about somebody that's pregnant, but you literally glow with health and vitality. So that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm at the point where I'm like, I just feel super uncomfortable, and my belly's not even that big. It's getting a little bigger, but it's not super big. But I'm just still so uncomfortable all of the time. I feel like a stuffed sausage.
So,
But
are you sleeping okay? I mean, do you feel like you're getting the rest you need?
well, I think I would, but we kind of shot ourselves in the foot, and we got this puppy. So we've been the potty training and stuff, and which we kind of thought, hey, sorry, we kind of thought, hey, let's get this puppy, and we'll start to get in the mindset of having a baby and having to wake up and feed the baby and stuff like that. So we thought we were like jumping ahead of our like, ooh, we're gonna prepare. And he's really cute too. But so my sleep has been fine, other than just like having to get up and take him outside when he has to go to the bathroom. And then sometimes when I wake up and take him out, I'll have like a hard time falling back to sleep, and I'll just feel like wide awake, which I think is kind of standard when you're pregnant, I guess. But it's not too bad. It's like normal being tired because you have a puppy type stuff. But I am napping too during the day. Like if I feel tired, like I need a nap, I will not restrict myself from taking a nap. I will go and take a nap.
Yeah, fantastic. There's another question that's popped up from Neville, who has been a fantastic supporter over this 24 hours. Carnivore diet for the puppy? Question mark.
No. So we're not doing like strict carnivore with him. We kind of rotate through like giving him ground beef, and then he'll kind of get tired of it and not want to eat it. And then we found these jerky things that are basically like air fried. It on the package it says it's like 93% meat, 7% like plant-based stuff that dogs can eat, and they're just like air fried jerky things. And that's the cleanest dog food that we found. So we'll rotate through that, and then when he gets tired of that, we'll go back to ground beef. So not strict raw or strict carnivore. But yeah, and we're not gonna do that for our son either. Like I'm having a boy, we're not gonna do strict carnivore. Like we'll give him fruit and stuff unless he starts to develop health issues or signs that he's getting like bad reactions. But yeah, we're not. Because I really do like, I love carnivore, but I don't think everyone needs to do it. And I think that if you have health issues, that it helps. That's amazing, like I did. But I don't think it's like a requirement for everyone. I don't have a problem with like seasonal eating and things like that. I'm not in the camp of like, don't eat. Don't eat plants. Don't ever eat any carbs or anything like that. Like I eat carbs and dairy and stuff. So I'm not super like hardcore carnivore.
Yeah,
Well, that's all right. I mean, the thing is, you're still going to be 95% ahead of everybody else. No, it's getting rid of the processed stuff of the seed oils, isn't it? And
Yeah.
you know the process, but basically, you know, rubbish breads and too much pasta or too much rice. I can't see you ever going down that route, to be honest. And you definitely won't have bread, will you? So you know,
No.
right?
No gluten.
Well,
Definitely no gluten. Cause do you guys is glyphosate an issue where you guys are too, or is that just a US thing?
Yeah, that's an issue for us also. Yeah.
Okay, because I've heard, because there's so many people who've told me when they find out that I was gluten free for 10 years before carnivore, is that my gut issues came from the glyphosate that is sprayed on bread, the stuff that makes the bread, not the gluten. And I don't know, I have a hard time believing that because there's so many gluten-free products that test higher for glyphosate than like gluten products. So I don't necessarily think, or wait, does that confirm? Oh my gosh, pregnancy brain. So that would make it the glyphosate. So I do believe them, right? Oh my god.
So I think
You'd think I've been doing this 24 hours.
I think they're both contributing factors, and the reason being is the grains. It isn't just the gluten. All grain contains wheat germ agglutinin, which causes intestinal permeability, which leads to autoimmune issues, which is where the acne and flare-ups and things would come from. But glyphosate, it blocks fructose. It creates fructose malabsorption. It blocks PEP, phosphoenol pyruvate, which is the output of fructose metabolism. So because fructose can't be metabolized properly, it ends up building up in the lower gut and causes gastro issues. And we know that it's harmful to the gut. It blocks the shikimate pathway, which is how we create neurotransmitters. So I think they're both to blame. I don't think one is over the other, but wheat germ agglutinin in particular and gluten, detrimental. I don't think that's ever a compound that is innocent in regards to health and well-being. It's definitely a massive contributing factor, but glyphosate very much so also.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot more health accounts that aren't carnivore go gluten-free and not, because it used to be like uncool to be gluten-free because it got so popular, like kind of how carnivore is becoming uncool now because it's getting more popular. So you have more haters coming out of the woodworks making fun of carnivores, eating on wooden cutting boards and stuff.
Yeah.
But when I went gluten-free, oh my gosh, like 2010 or something like that. And a long time ago, before it was like a cool thing to do, or right on the cusp, right before it became like a cool thing to do, and right before everything, there was a lot of gluten-free options. And then when it became kind of a trend, everyone started making fun of it, and it became like just this thing that like rich people do. And but now I'm starting to see more and more accounts take it seriously, that are like health accounts and like men's fitness accounts and stuff too, that are like, I'll never eat gluten, like I'm just going to do gluten free, which I think is really huge. Sorry for the chaos over here.
What is the name of that dog treat? Because I have some kind of I can't read that. I have some kind of doggy, and the only meat I can get him to eat is pork sausages, which isn't good for him because they're not good for with fat. So what's the name of the dog treats? That's basically what that person's saying.
The food, is it the food that I feed my dog? Is that the question?
Yeah, you said you got some treats. Do you have a name for those treats?
The jerky, it might not be available outside of Japan because we get it at a Japanese store, and all the writing is in Japanese, and we have to we had to translate it. I don't know off the top of my head what it's called. I can go look if you want me to. If you want me to go look.
Yeah, good then. Yeah, get a box. Let's have a look. Okay. It's probably called Hacho Habato or something.
Okay.
Look at that blue sky. She says it rained
gorgeous today. Yeah, no, it rained earlier today. Did it?
Okay.
It'll come and go, but when the sun is out, like you have to take advantage of it because then an hour later it'll be like rainy. Okay, let's see. It's called Absolute Holistic. Okay, so it is in English. It's called Absolute Holistic Air Dried Food, beef and hoagie, natural complete dog food.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, I think you can get a
Japanese.
I think you can get a higher percentage in the UK because we've got a raw carnivore dog, but the treats are those sort of things, those sticks of jerky. But I think they're 100% beef. I could be wrong, But that's
Yeah, those
brilliant.
ones are 93, so they're not full meat.
But
They
that's not
have
bad, is it?
Yeah, I didn't think so, and he likes it. He responds well to it. His poops are nice and healthy.
Right. Well, Jesslyn, you've gone over your time because we were doing 45 minutes with everyone. So I just want to thank you. Unless you've got anything else you want to tell everybody.
No, I think that was fun. I'm sorry you guys are. I hope you guys can pull through and finish this, and I hope I was a little interesting to keep you guys awake for 45 minutes.
Most definitely. Yeah. Massive help in the final straight, I think now, Steve, isn't it? 1 hour to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel ever so rude now, but I am absolutely shattered. Honestly, as soon as we've finished, I will be straight to sleep, and Then I've got a football thing at 11 o'clock, so I've only got an hour sleep. So, but it's been brilliant, and I'm glad we finished with you because you're such fun, and it's just perfect, really.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun. Of course, obviously, I like talking, so thanks for inviting me so I could talk.
Fantastic.
Did you want to say anything, Rich?
Yeah, Jesslyn, thank you so much for coming on. I think you've put the icing on the cake to a fantastic 23 hours so far. Massively appreciated. Keep doing what you're doing. All the best for the future with the little one, and congratulations. Super exciting stuff. I think you're paving the way for the future of many young women to come in regards to proper nutrition, health, and well-being. So thank you to that. You're a credit to the community. And thanks again. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Bye.
Thank you, Justin.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yes, definitely very inspiring. Very inspiring. I'm just going to stand up. So we've done it. We've got through all our guests. Did you know that? We haven't got any more guests now.
Yeah. So we did this last year. We've got an hour now of me and you just talking rubbish.
Well, we can get to, I think, get past 7 o'clock and then we'll shut down, shall we?
Entirely up to you, my man. Unless the questions start coming through. Yeah, I can't see no reason why not. But
no, the questions died off, haven't they? Really, which is fine. I mean, I wanted to do it because I wanted to get the guests on, and the guests have all come on and all been brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I don't want to drag it on just for the sake of getting to the end, because there's no point in doing that. And nobody booked this last hour or the last half an hour, so maybe it was fate.
Yeah.
Once a week man is saying, I'm having chuck steak with sheep's cheese. Is this a good breakfast?
Best breakfast.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Best breakfast.
Yes, I think. Yeah, I'm a great fan of having the same breakfast. I like scrambled egg in the morning, and I have it with either a steak or we've got quite a high percentage beef, pork sausage as well. So I like that sort of breakfast, or a ham and cheese omelette, But yeah, that sounds like nice. Morning, 1 hour to go. Great job. Can you explain what boron is and if it is needed? So you did get a question.
We did from Carl, a good supporter of ours.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's never been a concern through our whole evolutionary period, and for it to rear its head now through some influences that say it's beneficial, I don't believe that that we need to seek it out of the diet for anything specific, unless you know something special that I don't know about boron in particular, Steve.
Not really. No, I think you're right. I think it's just one of those things that's been picked up by influencers and made into something bigger than it really needs to be. I know we need small amounts of it, but yeah, it's yeah. I don't think we need to worry about it. I don't think you need to supplement with it.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever been.
I was trying to find the amount we need actually, but I can't find it.
That tired, Steve.
What? Eh?
That tired.
Yeah. Well done, guys. Did you have any no-shows through the night? We had one, but I think that might have been the software sending out the wrong link, or it might have just been human error and me sending out the wrong link. But yes, only one no-show. I tried the really high pork percentage sausages. I don't like them. Then we got a nice super chat there, so let's show that. That's very kind of you. Incredible stream. Congratulations, guys. Well done. I mean, one of the reasons I think actually it's made it a bit difficult for me is my stupidity at shouting at the television the night before in the England match, especially when we went to penalties. So I've got this slightly gruff voice, which is a little bit disappointing because this content will be around for years and I'll always sound like I've got this gruff voice. But anyway,
Do you know, I
Go on.
can't hear it. I think you sound perfectly fine. I don't think it's been
Well,
an issue.
maybe it's you know how I hear in my head then, but
Yeah.
it feels very gruff.
No, I think you sound fine to me. I don't know if everybody else has a difference in opinion, but I think you sound perfect.
Oh, thank you very much. This name has made me laugh all the time. Lotto retirement strategist. I want to raise my cholesterol, but I'm concerned that I may increase my triglycerides. I've started eating 6 to 12 egg yolks a day. Your thoughts? I wouldn't do that. I understand your premise, but your body will work out what level of cholesterol it needs. And you've got the gene expression is in your body and it will work out what you require. And as we've said, if you cut out dietary cholesterol, your body will make more. Well, obviously, if you give it more cholesterol, it won't overproduce, because if you're not eating it, it will make the level you need. And so if you've had your readings before and it's never been particularly high, then that's what your body wants. And this is the thing. I know we joke about it, Rich. You sort of say, I wish mine was higher. But you know, that's where it is. That's what your body has decided is good for you. So I won't worry about trying to artificially raise it.
Yeah.
Oh, so some of your big fans are coming in now. Yes. Well done, guys. Watched most of the live. Did get 7 hours sleep, but we'll catch up with it with the bits I've missed. Bless you. Absolutely fantastic. That's very kind of you.
Just to come back to that cholesterol, Steve, just to reiterate what you said, you know, your body's going to find this natural physiological level. The reason that many of us see an elevation in cholesterol when we live a low carb, ketogenic or carnivore based lifestyle isn't because our cholesterol is rising per se. It's because we're removing the phytosterols, which artificially lower our LDL. So by removing said compound, cholesterol returns back to its natural physiological level. So it isn't a case of living the lifestyle elevates our cholesterol. We just remove the toxic compounds which artificially lower it. And that is the plant sterols. Plant sterols look so close to human cholesterol that the body begins to produce naturally less cholesterol, but it's damaging to the body. We only store generally around 2%. And if we go beyond this, then it leads to a condition called cytosterolema, which can lead to early onset cardiovascular problems. But we don't want to chase higher cholesterol per se. Just eat as nature intended. Don't fear the fat, but your body will find its natural physiological level.
Absolutely. This has got question. Heard a few folk mentioning an ideal weight. I am out for good metabolic health first, but weight loss eventually second. Is there an acceptable reference source for ideal weight?
Whatever your body wants it to be. And I know that sounds like I'm not giving a straight answer, but the weight loss is a side effect of being metabolically healthy. When you're metabolically healthy, we tend to lose weight. We shouldn't chase the weight loss. I think that, as you rightly say, should become secondary. Don't track it. Don't worry about it. Eat as nature intended. Eat highly nutrient-dense foods. Remove the toxic compounds, the vegetable oils, the grains, plants if you can. just eat lots of natural fats and animal proteins, and everything else will fall into place. And if you have any other questions, you can join any future Sunday lives with Stephen and I on YouTube at 7 p.m. Or our school group, which we go live in typically on a Monday at 8 p.m., which we won't be tonight, Steve, I believe. Are we live tonight? Oh, we are live tonight,
Yeah,
are we?
8 p.m. Yeah. So yes, I'm really thinking we should shut this down because I am so tired. I think I'm going to be rubbish with the answers right now. How do you feel about that, Richard?
Yep, I'm happy. I think we've had a fantastic show. The guests have been incredible. The viewers and supporters have been even better. Yeah, I'm happy whenever you are, Steve.
Yeah. So I
And still
think we're going to
still
say.
coffee free.
I think we're going to say good night to everybody or good morning. We've done 23 hours and a couple of minutes, so we're into the 24th hour. But yeah, I don't feel confident of being sharp as attack and giving 100% on the answers. So I think as we've got no guests, nobody booked this last half hour. I think we'll say thank you very much. And we'll see you tonight on our live in our school community, which is just $4 a month to join. And we're going to do a whole hour tonight, 8 p.m. UK time. So thank you very much.
Fantastic.
I'm going to end the stream.
Okie dokie. Thank you all. Take care and see you soon.
Bye.